Picked another project up for the channel so I can alternate the boat and this a little bit. But it's a 75 CJ5 and I've got a 305 Chevy small block that I plan on putting in it. It has no engine or transmission in it, and so this will be a fun little project. Yesterday I was able to get the Jeep home. I took the cool old school bumper off and I built just this C-channel bumper. So I was able to put this tow bar on it and drive it home. So I did all that at my buddy's house where the Jeep was. And then when I got the tow bar all set up, then I was like, I should look over it before I, drive it 40 miles home. And I found this gaping hole in the rear diff. I don't know if the previous owner was wheeling it and hit a rock with the rear diff or what, but it's super messed up, and you can see that the carrier's eaten. But what I ended up doing was just taking the diff cover off and then just drizzling gear oil on the races, because the 3-rear axle also doesn't have a pinion in it. So the only real bearings that needed lubed were wheel bearings and the carrier bearings. And then I just went slow, pulled over every few miles, re-lubed it, kept going. So it took forever to get this home, but really happy to have it here. I started working through some of the interior, took the doors off, the driver's seat. Then I had a bunch of random parts in it. This looks like possibly a rear drive shaft, front, and then this is a drive shaft from something else, but it's got a double cardan and a flange. So I'm wondering if they were gonna put the double cardan on one of the shafts to fix the angles, because I think this Jeep has like a 4-ish inch lift on it, because these springs are fairly arched, and then they have a little bit longer shackles than factory on it too. And floors are solid. It looks like the trans shifter hole was notched in the back and on the passenger side. I don't know if this Jeep had a SM465 in it at some point. Back seat looks pretty nice. I just need to clean it all up. And this is the 305 that I've got to put in it. Obviously, I've just been using it to let my funnels drip into. But the rings are seated. I know that much. It doesn't leak through the rings. And then I've got those 2 small valve 60cc chamber heads that I think are stock to this engine. And then the Edelbrock intake and Edelbrock valve covers. But I need to pull the crank and the cam out of this and then see what I need to do. And if the crank is bad, I'll probably put a stroker crank in it, which makes this engine like a 334. So that's kind of what I've got to do on the Jeep. And the whole reason I bought this Jeep is because my grandpa on my dad's side, he had I think it was a 1948 Jeep flat fender, and he got it when I was like 11. I worked on it a little bit with him for a couple years and some other family members until when I was 13, I think he finished it. And I have a lot of good memories, like riding around in a small coastal beach town where he had a house, and those are some of my favorite memories of him. Unfortunately, he passed last year, and kind of want to just relive some of those memories, but I didn't necessarily want to get a flat fender just because they aren't super streetable on modern roads. So I bought this 5 because I mean, in a 5 you can semi-reasonably do 60, 65. So you can at least keep up on modern roads. And knowing those flat fenders, 40 is about all you really get in a relatively stock one. So I'm hoping to get to relive some memories of my grandpa in this one, but also be able to do freeway speeds. So I'm kind of combining what he wanted and what I currently need to be able to do with mine. And his was orange, or is orange, it's still in the family, and so I'm gonna keep this one orange. And then when he finished his, he always said like it's gonna be a beach Jeep, it's gonna be usable. And I think I'm gonna do the same for this because I take my vehicles up in the mountains. My Ford's got all kinds of Texas pinstriping from being up in the trees, so I definitely don't plan to make it perfect, but just completely usable. What I'm doing today is I'm working on the engine. This is the 305 that I want to put in this Jeep. And today my only real goal is to pull the crank out, pull the cam and timing gears out, and then inspect the block, because it does look like this engine possibly was ran with a blown head gasket. So obviously I need to make sure that that isn't a cracked block type of problem, because I want to tear this apart and have it hot tanked before I start painting and reassembling this engine. And so before I do that, I need to make sure that, the block is usable. I don't need to source a new block. But if I do, I'll probably find a 350 block instead of a 305. And maybe if I'm even luckier, I'll find a 4-bolt main instead of a 2-bolt. Well, kind of bum news on this engine. I don't know if you can see how dished this follower is, and it broke through the bottom. And they're supposed to be flat and just kind of wear like this. And where this follower was on the cam is wiped past that second bearing there. You can see that lobe is wiped off. And then on top of the cam issues, this cylinder is not honable. That's gonna need bored. So a little bit bummed out, and I'm trying to decide if I just say I'm going to use this block, I'm going to accept the fact that it needs board. I'm going to have the machine shop die pen it, hot tank it, deck it. I mean, just like make this block usable. The only reason I don't want to is it's a 305 2-bolt. It's not really worth doing that to. And the transmission, transfer case, and front cover accessories that I want to buy are on a 350, and it should be a 4-bolt, but it threw a rod through the oil pan. So if I buy that engine for the transmission, transfer case, and front cover accessories that are on that engine, then I'll pull it apart, see if that block's usable, and then I'd have a 350 4-bolt. And I'm likely buying it anyways for, you know, like I said, that transmission, other stuff. So kind of a bum update, but that's just how this goes. I don't think I've really said that the whole reason I was going to use this engine is it kind of fell in my lap. I was helping a buddy who doesn't have Marketplace. He wanted a small block Chevy in his 88 4Runner, and he ended up buying this engine partially assembled with the Edelbrock intake, some stuff. He bought the 4-bolt main 350, partially assembled as well. And then it came with a bucket of front cover accessories, 3 sets of heads, 3 oil pans, nice valve covers for both engines. And he kind of went through and said, you know, I want the 4-bolt main, obviously, and I want this set of heads, and I want the front cover accessories. And he had paid not very much for all of that. And so I said, well, I'd really like to have an engine for a future project, because I didn't have this Jeep at that point. And so I bought this engine from him for really cheap. And it had all these parts in it, and it came with that intake and oil pan and these valve covers, and then these heads. And these heads are nothing special. They're just 305 heads, small valve, 60cc. And this crank, the crank's usable as expected though. And so I kind of got everything cheap. And so I was like, well, I'll just use this block and in this Jeep. And I didn't pay that much for the Jeep either. So, but now I'm to the point in this project where I'm going to be making it rain to get her running. Well, this right here is my replacement engine block. I decided to go with the most modern block I could find to get, you know, the closest tolerances, most modern machining I could, and then the less chance of it having been bored and everything. So I ended up picking up a 96 to 98 Vortec 350 block. So the block itself is the same, minus it requires a roller cam, which isn't a huge deal to me. It's kind of an advantage in a lot of ways. So I picked up this block, and it all has really good looking bores in it. I don't know how well you can see them in selfie mode. And then I also picked up this set of 416 heads. So these are technically 305 350 heads. They came on both, but these have 58cc chambers and then the slightly bigger valves compared to most of the 305 heads. So it should be a good combo. These heads should make good low-end torque, and this block, I'm also happy to get a 350, squeeze a little bit more out of it. So we should be good, be able to use the crank and the rods that were in that 350. They're the same strength and stroke and length as a 350. And then I will need to get a 2-piece rear main seal to 1-piece main seal block adapter. I found them online, they're like 90 bucks. And then I'll need to get some pistons, rings, main bearings, rod bearings, cam bearings, and then gaskets, and then we should be cooking. I've also continued to snag little goodies for this Jeep. So I picked up this SM465. It's a 2-wheel drive unit, but it doesn't matter because I'm still gonna have to adapt it to my Dana 20 transfer case. And so the SM465 is a Chevy small block bell housing there. And I have the Vortec block, but I picked up this running 305 for $100. And so I'm gonna get the Jeep running and driving with this guy. Obviously gonna paint it, do intake, different headers, different valve covers, and clean it up quite a bit. But this came out of, I think he said a 76 El Camino. This is obviously 305. And then I have these two carburetors. This is a late model Quadrajet with an electric choke, and this is a mystery Holley. I got them both for $40, so I need to figure out what this mystery Holley is. But for now, I'm gonna plan to just run the Quadrajet and learn how to tune that, because they're supposed to be a lot better off camber as far as fuel starvation. So when you're going up a hill or super side hilling, they don't bog out. And couldn't resist just getting a Holley too, in case whatever. I hate the Quadrajet. Go back to something that I know is gonna work.